The mythical problem. Now, as stated in the last video, mythics are actually kind of jarring, kind of annoying, kind of useless, kind of underwhelming, kind of underpowered, kind of just not worth grinding for. Now, first of all, mythics are super hard to get. Gonna have to grind your life away for them, which is the first thing. The second thing is, once you manage to get a mythical weapon, is it even strong enough to use? For example, Cain's Fang is probably not better than some of the swords slash spears that you already have access to in the game. But the swords you have access to in this game are pretty mid, but still, the katana is very good, and the sword spear you get from the shogun is actually pretty good too. So like, it's kind of better than spears. There's a better spear than the base than the base what's it called, Cain's Fang. Same with the B dagger. I'm not gonna lie, the B dagger is a little bit different because the daggers you have access to in this game kind of aren't that great anyways, but the B dagger isn't that great anyways. And then there are other mythicals that you can get, like the Lumite swords, or whatever you want to call it. The sword, spear, gauntlet, and dagger you can craft up using the Lumite ore that you get from moonshine, and getting moonshine's hard enough. So if you use your moonshine to get the luminite bard in order to craft a luminite weapon, which is not a mythical, I think it's legendary, but regardless, the moon knight swords suck. The base damage is terrible. It might not be a part of this conversation because they're not mythical weapons, so I might have to take that out. Let's ignore I said that. Let's focus on Cain's Fang and the B weapon. And for the case of the B sword, don't even think that's in game yet. Now, the only clip I have is of a mod actually using the sword, but we can't really scale, or we can't really get an accurate depiction of how powerful or not powerful this is. We don't see the stats, etc. Now, let's talk about Cain's Fang. Now, here is the Cain's Fang. Now, the weapon looks beautiful, design's on point. And here are the stats. If you are able to read, it has a really fast swing speed. I'm not gonna lie, it's really nice. Its range 11.10, which is really good. Honestly, the range on this is actually very good. You have the bleed damage that's 0.6. Now, you only apply the bleed on your crits, not your M1s or the end of your M1s. I'll be testing that again, but I'm very sure it's only on the crits. And then you have a stun, whatever, who cares. And the damage is a base flat line of 6. Now, if you use Katana, I'm very sure it's a 5 or a 6 as well in terms of base damage. However, Katana, you're actually able to put reforges on, and you can enchant it with any enchant, which it's obviously going to boost the damage up. Let's say you have legendary, fair, or gentle. Those three will boost the katana's damage. Obviously, legendary is probably the best one to put on a katana, or if you can't manage to find legendary, reforge, or waitstone, try get a fair or a gentle. I would say honestly go for fair, but those things will put its base damage up, and then with an enchant, it's just going to help whatever build you're trying to build into. Now, with Cain's Fang, since it is a mythical, you cannot do that. Now, you're gonna say, I saw a comment saying, well, it works just like Deepwoken's legendary weapons to keep it balanced. But is this even that good that it needs to be heavily balanced? Yes, the swing speed is actually pretty good, and the length you can attack people at is very good too. Just show you the range on it. It's actually very nice. However, you have a air crit and you have a normal crit on the ground, and as you can see, you can only use one crit at a time. It would be better as a mythical weapon, you could use both crits. As in, if I use the ground crit, it procs the ground crit cooldown. If I use the air crit, it procs the air crit cooldown. Now, you're probably wondering how to actually get Cain's Fang. In order to get Cain's Fang, and trust me, it's a grind, hear me out, you need to get a soulbound Tsuba for Cain's Fang, and you get that from gladiator chests. So you need to farm gladiators every 30 minutes IRL time, and sometimes in some servers, gladiators don't even spawn. Good luck though. You need a mana, because this Tsuba, soulbound Tsuba, whatever it's called, is a pretty low percentage drop, by the way. You need a mana vessel, which you get from Moonshine Relic, and we all know how hard getting Moonshine Relics are. Good luck actually farming for those, because honestly, good luck, right? You're gonna need it. You need a katana, and katana only drops for Mifune, which is the Shogun trainer, right? And the only way you can fight the Shogun trainer is if you are this race, the gate race, which is a 1% gate location, 1%, or you complete the Sky Tower quest or the Sky Gate quest, which you actually within that quest are going to need to get a Moonshine Relic. So if you are not this race, ultimately you're going to need 2 Moonshine Relics in order to even be a contender of getting Cain's Fangs. And again, good luck getting a Moonshine Relic. And then you're gonna need an ore, and the ore is found where you teleport to the Sigil boss. To actually mine the ore, you're gonna need a pickaxe with 14% power, which is Demonite pickaxe or higher. And it takes, well, my friend or Stormy formed up a Demonite pickaxe, and it said it took about 2 hours. You could probably do it in an hour if you know what you're doing, maybe even less if you're an expert. But I'm very sure it's gonna be super hard to actually grind for. So yeah, Cain's Fang is actually pretty hard to obtain, and once you obtain it, it's barely better than a katana. Now I will at the end of this clip show you a katana's base stats, just so you guys can, you know, see the difference. Now also another thing I will say is Cain's Fang is a sword. It's a normal sword. So what builds can you actually even go with Cain's Fang? Well, I'll tell you one thing, nothing that great. Your only options are Fallen Knight, which, yes, I guess it's decent with Fallen Knight, but Fallen Knight isn't really something you would need a bleed weapon on that you can't enchant to. Fallen Knight, mainly people go on Fallen Knight for PvE builds. That's where it really excels, in my opinion. You can use it for PvP, however, it excels in PvE. And if you're going to utilize it in PvE or PvP, you're going to at least need the lifesteal enchant. You can't put that on this. You need a lifesteal enchant. Yes, Fallen Knight does give you lifesteal on M1s, but you're going to want to maximize the amount of lifesteal you have. That's what makes Fallen Knight really good, especially for PvE farming, right? And if you just have a base Cain's Fang, let's be so honest, as good as this weapon is, you're not dealing that much damage. Your damage output isn't that high. I'm sorry. For a mythic drop where you use the crit and it has a long ass cooldown and you can't use the ground crit, the only thing you have are the M1s, right? And the bleed damage isn't anything significant to write home about. It's just not great. It's just not great. I'll be so honest, it's just not great. You farmed your life away for this just for it to be kind of worse than the weapon you're already using. If you have a legendary or a fair katana with your enchant on it, it's better than Cain's Fang. I'm sorry. The katana crit's actually pretty good and has a shorter cooldown. I'm sorry, bro. Cain's Fang for a mythical weapon, it's pretty bad. Okay, now let's showcase the damage output and the bleed damage. Let's do it. Say hello to my alt account. So, let's put him in the corner here, and this is for M1s. As you can see, do a bar to about a freshie with no armor on. Obviously, I don't have anything on this that's making my M1s any stronger, but still, this is a freshie as well, if we're being honest. But still, 1 bar, is it that great on a freshie? I don't think so. Again, base 6 base damage is kind of pretty low, especially for a mythical weapon. I'm so sorry. Now, for the crits, it's the only place it actually applies bleed. Now, obviously, applying bleed isn't gonna like take down the bar, but this is where you're gonna stack it with different passives and different relics to make it useful. However, if the only way you can apply a bleed is when you crit, is it that great? Is it that great? That was the ground and the air crit, by the way. So I mean, at least you know you're getting a guaranteed bleed off. but you're only going to be using bleed to get relics and passives off, right? It's not bad, but it's not mythical tier. I'm sorry, it's not terrible, but it's not mythical tier. And again, the only sword classes in this game is Fallen Knight and White Knight, or what's the Church Knight, Sigil Knight. And Sigil, you have Excalibur, which just kind of works better than Cain's Fang for the build. I mean, I guess you can use a Cain's Fang, but what are you utilizing bleed on the Cain's Fang for? And I'm very sure you're able to enchant the Excalibur. I don't know if you can reforge it, but I'm very sure you can put enchants on it. So, bro, I'm so sorry, man. Cain's Fang is pretty mid. And I'm gonna actually show you guys Katana so you can compare and contrast it. And don't worry, after that I'm gonna show you another mythical weapon that's just not worth grinding. Okay, so here we have the Katana. Now, Katana is funny because you need a Katana in order to make Cain's Fang. And the evolved version of a Katana, which is Cain Fang, literally has the same base damage output, which is so pathetic. Not too sure who thought that was a good idea. Alright, cool. So, as you can see, it says Fair Katana. That's because I put a Fair Stone inside of the Katana. So, obviously, I have the base 6 damage, but with the Fair Reforge, I have a +4 damage increase, I have +4 speed, and I have -4% N lag, and a +10 ship. So, Fair just makes my M1 super fast, right? Or it makes me run faster, whatever speed does. And I'm able to put the Lifesteal enchant on it, on top of Umbral Flame Charge, and I just regen a whole bunch of health. You guys have seen my PvE build video, and if I'm not fighting another Fallen Knight, I can essentially win almost every 1v1 unless the player is really cracked or playing Shinobi, or is just able to run circles around me because this build's very slow, right? So, I mean, bro, it's just kind of cooked. And the crit, you can move during it, and I'm very sure it's a shorter cooldown than Cain's Fang. So you deal more damage with a Katana than you do with Cain's Fang. Now you can argue it has more bleed, right? But you're gonna bleed your opponent with the critical anyways, it's guaranteed. And so the bleed doesn't matter as long as it's able to bleed. And who cares? You're not really using the Katana for the bleed, you're using it for its usefulness. Its viableness. So the fact that I'm able to put reforges on it and enchant it just makes it better than Cain's Fang. Like, I'm not even gonna argue with you if you think otherwise, cool, but I'm not grinding my life away to deal less damage with Cain's Fang. You can argue Cain's Fang has a larger reach, but okay, and it has 2 crits, okay, and I can move in this crit, bro. Like, Katana is just better. Why is the unevolved version better than the evolved version? Like, it's like Pikachu not wanting to evolve into Raichu. Makes no sense, right? So, honestly, that's that. And let's move on to the next mythical weapon that's damn near easy. Okay, let's show you another mythical weapon. Now, this is the B Dagger. Now, B passives. Let's just talk about the B passives real quick. The only reason you would ever use this weapon is if you have like B passives or honey passives relics, right? When you reach your 4 stacks of honey on your opponent, your next crit within the next 5 seconds will consume all honey stacks, providing you with a 50% incoming and outgoing healing buff for 10 seconds. Right? Not gonna lie, that's pretty good, right? Applying honey to your opponent will grant you a flat increased health regen for 5 seconds. That's also pretty good. And honey bomb, applying honey will cause an explosion of honey, applying it once again to the victim and anyone else nearby. 10 seconds. Applying, that's not that great, but it's decent, I guess. So it's the M1s with it, right? And this is the crit, and the crit looks pretty good. Looks pretty good, right? And here is the base damage for a dagger. Base damage 5 is actually pretty good. Its range is actually pretty good as well. Swing speed's pretty fast. and it has some nice chip damage. That's all there is to it. You can't reforge it and you can't enchant it. We're not gonna go back over that. However, what I will do is show you guys the damage. So here's my friendo. As we all know, daggers kind of suck when it comes to damage. That bell didn't even do a bar. It did about the same. It did just a tiny bit less damage than Cain's Fang would have done, which is actually pretty depressing because Cain's Fang is a sword. But let's just heal this guy to full real quick because I want to show you guys something pretty interesting. Now, unless it was bugged or the devs have fixed it, the crit doesn't actually do any damage. Let's just double check this. Okay, the crit does damage now. Thank God, honestly. Before, the crit wasn't doing damage. I guess it's fixed now, so it's not that bad. But yeah, the crit now does damage. So what I was going to complain about is actually very void now. The 4M1 combo. And then with the oh no, see, the crit didn't do damage. I think when there's honey applied on your opponent, the crit doesn't do damage. So let's just double check that. Raw crit damage, and then let's M1. There's honey applied now. This honey applied, you actually do quite a bit more damage. Honey applied, crit, no damage. Okay, so for some reason when there's honey applied, the crit does no damage, and it doesn't say anything about this on the item. Can we just reread it? Tree march formation, honey happened, the tip, amberwood pestle, the tool remote for his high, deep in the corner of the bandit, said to be tied to the funerals, bones, crystal, tip, fine powder. Okay, so for some odd reason, when there's honey applied to your opponent, the critical doesn't do any damage. Pretty weird. And I know it's nothing from here as well, because you know it doesn't say that it's not gonna do damage on any of the descriptions. So I'm just a bit confused on why the heck that happens. Not gonna lie. And here is the base dagger you get from completing the Kingslayer quest, right? Does one less damage, but it's just better in everything else except for range. Who cares about range on a dagger, right? Let's just equip this real quick. How does this compare? Barely notice the damage. Critical kind of sucks in comparison, but at least you always do damage. Honestly, this is a mythical weapon though. You can't apply enchants on it. You can't put reforges on it. It just kind of blows, right? Now, yes, this does more damage, but at least you're able to enchant and reforge it. So you can make it deal more damage, and you can actually make its usefulness with whatever enchant to compensate for your build. I don't know, man. This game has a mythical problem. Let's not compare it to legendary weapons and Deepwoken. This isn't fucking Deepwoken. Also, not only is this not Deepwoken, in Deepwoken, legendary weapons actually cater to players like legendary weapons. They have crazy criticals that deal a bunch of damage, right? Or do something significantly crazy. This game, the criticals, normal weapons deal good criticals too, like better criticals, if you want to argue. So yeah, man, I'm sorry, I just had to make this video. I know it was a bit long, but bro, mythical weapons suck. There's no point grinding your life away for a weapon that sucks. And I don't know if you guys know, the Lumite weapons have even less base damage than some of the normal weapons too. Why does the Lumite sword, spear, and dagger, and the fist, gauntlet, whatever, deal less damage than the base weapons in the game? And you need a moonshine relic to even craft those weapons. I think the devs need to overhaul some of the weapons. If you're crafting a weapon and the craft material for the weapon is super rare, then guess what? It shouldn't deal less damage than normal weapons I can find playing the game normally. I'm just saying, right? And also, with the B boss, making players farm for a 0.1% drop 5 times is unfucking necessary. It's unnecessary. You need a royal honey. You need royal honey, 5 of them, to even craft the B sword, which is why only mods have it. Apparently it's in the game. Apparently it's in the game. I haven't checked Bazaar, and I'm going to check Bazaar right now to see if it's in the game. However, you need a 0.1 5 times. Listen, I really, if you watched my review video, you can tell I really like RogueBlox. I really like RogueBlox. What I don't like is when devs go out of their way to ruin a good thing, right? And that is low-key what's happening right now. Because if the game's end game is players mindlessly farming for things that are meant to be good, for it to not be good, what's the point in playing? What's the point in playing the game then? No, genuinely, I don't care how much I like a game. I'm gonna say what needs to be said. What's the point in grinding for it then? Also, I've heard, I don't know, so this is why I'm not speaking on it. I've heard the artifacts are trash. I heard the artifacts give drawbacks. Why are you grinding your life away for artifacts if they give drawbacks or they're just not that good? Listen, I can't speak on artifacts because I don't have one, and I don't really want to grind for one either. However, what the fuck? What is this? Okay, anyways, honey. Honey block. No, we're actually looking for royal honey. Is there actually any? Royal honey ball. There is actually one in the market. So they are in the game, chat. My friend has farmed over 100 bees and hasn't got a single royal honey. I've been farming bee for quite a while now too, and I've never got a royal honey. And for some reason, we can't check how much it costs. It's pretty tragic. Let's see how many parts are visible too. Oh, okay. So is a bot check. That's interesting. It's a bot check. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. There's only one royal honey. These are super rare. Apparently they're going for 10k plus a piece. You need 5 of them to actually craft the B sword, and I'm assuming the B sword is going to be pretty decent, because if the B dagger does 5 damage, the B sword's got to at least do 7. If they make it do 6, I'll be so mad. It's probably going to do 6 if we're being honest. But with the B stacks, I'll assume it'll probably be really good weapon. It's not letting us buy it, but I'm just gonna take the word for it that it's super expensive, because there's actually only one of them in the market, so clearly supply and demand. And I don't think the player base is really trying to, you know, farm up the honey stuff. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's it from me. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. By the way, this is the requirements you need to actually... Oh, it's 8 damage. Neck to spine. It's actually 8 damage. Skills used during aerial combat will apply. It's actually 8 damage. This might be the best weapon in the game for sure. Neck to spine. And you need the dagger to actually get the neck to spine. Oh. Honey gem, I got 2 of them. I've farmed the bee I've farmed bee queen at least 80 to 100 times. I only got 2 honey gems. They're super rare, but at least they're obtainable. Royal honey ball. Good luck. Good luck. Apparently there's 0.1% drop. As you can see, Bazaar only has one of them. It's not even letting you buy it, which is super annoying. This is the dagger you see I'm using, literally. And then pure amber, which you could probably get somewhere. That's not too hard. I don't know. But yeah, man. Farming for mythicals in this game isn't worth it. The nectar spine is probably worth it. Definitely might be. I wouldn't say it's the best weapon in the game, but it might be the best weapon in the game. With some of the honey passives, the build could be pretty crazy with it. So yeah, the only issue is I'm pretty sure it's a sword, and again, classes you use sword on kind of mid. So this is the mythical issue. I know it was a rant, but if you made it to the end, you now know mythicals are shit in this game. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.